The school hallway buzzed with the usual Monday morning chaos, lockers slamming, sneakers squeaking on tile floors, voices rising in waves of gossip and laughter. But amid all that noise, there was one person who moved quietly, almost invisibly: Amina. She was the kind of girl people barely noticed, unless they needed someone to laugh at. Small, soft-spoken, with big glasses and her curly hair always tied back in a tight bun. She carried her books close to her chest like a shield. She didn't walk so much as drift past others, always keeping her head down, always avoiding eye contact. But just because Amina stayed silent didn't mean others did. "Yo, nerd girl!" Someone called out, loud and sharp like a slap. It was Brittany, the loudest girl on campus and the self-declared queen of Jefferson High. Tall, always dressed like she was walking a runway instead of a school hallway. Brittany was followed everywhere by her two shadows, Kayla and Monica, who echoed her every word like background singers. The three of them were trouble in matching lip gloss. Amina froze mid-step, fingers tightening on her books. She didn't have to look up to know who it was. She just lowered her head further and tried to walk faster, but that was the mistake. Oh, she's trying to run now. Kayla laughed, hurrying forward and blocking Amina's path. "Where are you going, little mouse?" Monica stepped in from the side, her voice sugar-coated with fake concern. "You okay, sweetie? You look scared." They circled her like a pack of wolves playing with their food. Students nearby paused to watch, but said nothing. They always watched, never interfered. Some even took their phones out recording, just in case something funny happened. Brittany smirked, stepping closer. "Why don't you say something, huh? Cat got your tongue." She reached out and plucked Amina's glasses off her face in one smooth motion. "Oops, did you need these?" Amina blinked, her eyes struggling to focus. She reached out instinctively, but Brittany held the glasses up higher, just out of reach. Everyone laughed. Not because it was funny, but because they were afraid not to dot in that moment. Something shifted in Amina's posture, so subtle only the careful would notice. Her shoulders straightened just slightly. Her eyes, usually unsure and flickering, steadied for a second. But her lips said nothing. She just stared at Brittany, and for a moment it was as if she saw straight through her. The air around them felt heavier, like a storm cloud no one noticed until it was already overhead. Then, boom, a loud crash echoed from the other end of the hallway. Everyone's heads whipped around. A classroom door had been slammed open. A tall, lean figure stepped out. His name was Jamal. Jamal wasn't a troublemaker, but he wasn't invisible like Amina either. A black teen with a reputation for keeping. To himself, he wasn't flashy or loud, but when he spoke, people listened. And now, he stood there watching the scene unfold, his jaw tight, eyes dark with anger. "Yo," Jamal said calmly, his voice cutting through the noise. "Give her the glasses." Brittany rolled her eyes. "Why, you her bodyguard now?" Jamal didn't move. "Give her the glasses." People around them grew quiet. Something about the way he said it felt serious, like a line had been crossed. And couldn't be UNCROSSED. That Brittany laughed nervously and tossed the glasses back at Amina, who caught them and quickly slid them on. "You good now?" Brittany mocked. "Aw, how sweet. She's got a hero." Amina looked up at Jamal then, really looked at him, as if something passed between them without words. Later that day, during lunch, something even stranger happened. Amina sat alone, as usual, at the far edge of the cafeteria. But this time, Jamal walked over to her table. Not only that, he sat down. No one had ever seen him sit with anyone. Not like this. They didn't speak much. Just quiet nods, a few soft words. But the cafeteria couldn't stop watching. And that was only the beginning, because what no one knew, what none of those bullies could have imagined, was that Amina wasn't as helpless as she seemed. There was something behind those eyes, something sharp, something silent. Amina had a past, a skill set, a history no one bothered to ask about, and she had spent years being underestimated, pushed, laughed at, but no more. That very week, the school was holding a self-defense demonstration in the gym, something about empowering students, making them feel strong, etc. Brittany thought it would be funny to volunteer Amina as a demo partner without telling her. The plan was to embarrass her in front of the whole school, make her freeze, make her fall. But when the instructor, an ex-military guy with serious eyes, asked for someone to step up and try the first hold, Amina calmly walked forward. She didn't look scared. She didn't even blink. And when the instructor reached for her, everything changed. What happened next? No one could have seen coming. Even Jamal, standing quietly in the corner, raised his eyebrows in surprise. Because in one clean, elegant motion, Amina moved, fast, precise, almost like she'd been trained. The instructor hit the mat with a loud thud. There was dead silence, then whispers, then panic. Brittany's mouth fell open. Her hand went to her phone, but it slipped out of her fingers and hit the floor. Kayla backed away like she'd seen a ghost. Monica actually said out loud, "What was that?" But Amina didn't smirk, didn't gloat. She just looked around calmly, her voice soft and steady. "You shouldn't play with people you don't understand." That was the moment the fear shifted. That was when the balance flipped. What no one knew was that Amina wasn't just some quiet girl with glasses. She had trained since she was 9 under her uncle, a former Marine. She didn't talk about it. She didn't need to. But now they were learning, and fast. But what truly changed everything wasn't just that moment in the gym. It was what happened later, after school, when a different kind of test came, one that didn't happen on school grounds. One involving a different scene entirely. A city bus, a pregnant woman, and a boy who decided to do the right thing without expecting anything in return. That boy was Jamal, and what he didn't know, as he gave up his seat for a tired, expectant white woman struggling to stay on her feet, was that she wasn't just anyone, and the note she slipped into his hand, shaky, tear-stained, and written in blue ink, would change everything about his future. But that part of the story hasn't happened yet. Jamal sat at the back of the city bus, his hoodie up, earbuds in, but the music paused. He wasn't really listening to anything, just thinking. The moment in the gym with Amina had replayed in his head all day. He'd known something was different about her, something deeper than the way she walked quietly or kept to herself. But watching her flip that instructor like it was nothing, that changed everything. People don't just do that without serious training. That kind of movement, that confidence under pressure, it came from somewhere. And Jamal, someone who'd grown up learning how to read danger before it happened, knew it when he saw it. Amina wasn't just surviving school bullies. She'd been surviving something else long before them. He looked up as the bus slowed. A woman stepped on white, probably in her early 30s, with kind eyes and a baby bump that made walking look like a challenge. She was holding the rail tightly, her face pale and strained. The bus was full. No one moved. Jamal didn't even hesitate. He stood up, pulled out one earbud, and gently motioned to his seat. "Ma'am, you can take this." The woman's eyes widened slightly. People rarely used ma'am anymore. She smiled softly. "Thank you. That's very kind of you." She eased into the seat with a quiet sigh of relief. Jamal stepped aside and held the rail near the back, leaning on it. As the bus rumbled forward, he didn't notice at first, but she kept glancing at him, like she was thinking about something, like she wanted to say more, but wasn't sure how. A few minutes later, she reached into her bag, pulled out a small folded note, and held it out to him. Her hand trembled just a little. "I want you to have this," she said. Jamal blinked. "It's okay, really. You don't have to, please," she said quietly. "Just read it when you're alone." He took the note without another word. Something about her tone was different, serious, personal. And when she stepped off the bus a few stops later, she gave him one last look, one that didn't feel casual at all. It felt intentional, like she knew something about him, or was trusting him with something big. He didn't open the note right away. He waited until he got home, in a tiny apartment he shared with his grandmother. She was out on her evening walk, as usual, so the place was quiet. He sat on his bed, unfolded the paper slowly, and began to read. What he saw didn't make any immediate sense. It wasn't just a thank you note. It wasn't just a message from a grateful stranger. It was an invitation, or maybe a warning. The top half had a name he didn't recognize, followed by a handwritten line. "There are people watching how you move. Your character matters more than you know." Beneath that was a symbol, something like a seal or logo, drawn in ink. And underneath it, "If you're curious, come to this address tomorrow at 4 p.m. Ask for Daniel, but only if you're ready. Number." Explanation. No contact info. Just that. Jamal stared at the note for a long time. Then he folded it back up and slid it under his mattress. Whatever this was, it wasn't random. People don't hand out cryptic notes on city buses to just anyone. And then he remembered Amina again. Was this connected? The next day at school, things were off. Everyone was still buzzing about Amina. The gym video had made its way online. Not the whole thing, just the part where she floored the instructor in 3 seconds flat. Someone had added slow motion, a soundtrack, even a few fake subtitles. Should have been embarrassing, but it wasn't. For the first time, people looked at Amina with something close to respect, or maybe fear. But she didn't seem to care either way. She moved just like before, quiet, controlled, like nothing had changed, except everything had. Jamal approached her during lunch. "Hey, you good?" Amina looked up from her notebook. She nodded once. "Yeah." He waited a moment. "You ever trained before?" Her pencil paused mid-sentence. She didn't look at him, but she said, "My uncle was in the military. He believed the world wasn't always safe. He taught me how to see it for what it really is." Jamal nodded, slowly. "Yeah, mine too. My dad, actually. Special Forces." Until he he trailed off. No need to finish the sentence. Amina didn't ask. They sat in silence for a few seconds. Then Amina said, without looking up, "I think they're going to test you next." Jamal frowned. "What do you mean?" She finally met his eyes. "You stepped up for someone. They saw that, whoever they are, they're watching, just like they were watching me." Jamal felt a chill. "You've gotten a note too?" She didn't answer, just looked at him quietly and turned a page in her notebook. That was all the confirmation he needed. By the time 4 p.m. rolled around the next day, Jamal stood outside a gray building on the edge of the city, bare brick walls. No sign, just the address from the note. The street was quiet. Too quiet. He hesitated at the door, then knocked twice. A man opened it, not too tall, not too old, but something about him screamed experience. His eyes scanned Jamal like he was being measured. "For something invisible, you must be Jamal," the man said. "Yeah? You're Daniel?" The man nodded. "Come in, but remember you chose this." The door shut behind him. And from that moment, nothing in Jamal's life would be simple again. What he didn't know, what he couldn't have known, was that the invitation was more than just a thank you. It was the beginning of something much bigger, something tied to secrets, to hidden trials, to quiet warriors walking among everyday people. A network, a mission, a responsibility passed down in silence. And the girl, everyone thought was too shy? She wasn't just part of it. She might have been the one who started it all. Inside the building, the lighting was low, the air cool, and the hallway silent except for the sound of Jamal's sneakers against the polished concrete floor. Daniel walked ahead of him, not saying much, just glancing back every now and then, like he was checking to see if Jamal was still following. The hallway curved sharply to the right and opened up into a wide room, bare walls, high ceilings, and in the center, a single wooden table with 2 chairs. A small monitor flickered on one side. Nothing else. No decorations. No windows. This place looks like a bunker, Jamal muttered under his breath. Daniel heard him. It used to be. Jamal stayed silent, eyes scanning the room. His instincts were buzzing. Whatever this place was, it had a purpose. Not military exactly, but something close. Organized. Controlled. Daniel motioned to the chair. Sit. Jamal sat slowly, eyes locked on the monitor now lighting up with a file. His photo, his school, a list of classes, grades, even notes from his teachers. What is this? Jamal asked. Daniel leaned against the wall. It's you. Everything about you that can be tracked. And some things that can't. Jamal leaned forward. Why me? Daniel didn't answer right away. He walked to the monitor and tapped on a corner of the screen. The image switched to bus camera footage. The moment Jamal gave his seat to the pregnant woman. From a new angle. One he hadn't seen. They watch buses? Jamal asked, surprised. They watch everything, Daniel replied. And when someone does something small, but good, without being told, without expecting credit, that's when they pay attention. Jamal sat back slowly. Who are they? We call them the quiet hand, Daniel said. People who believe real strength isn't about showing off, but about choosing the right moment to act. You stepped forward. So did Amina, but that means you've entered something you can't just walk away from. Jamal didn't respond right away. His mind was moving fast, trying to connect everything. Amina's quiet confidence, the note, this strange invitation, and now this group that seemed to have eyes everywhere. And what exactly do they want? Jamal asked. I didn't sign up for anything. Daniel's eyes narrowed slightly. No, but the moment you gave up that seat, you proved something. You don't get tested unless they think you have potential. They don't force you to join, but they don't unsee what they've seen. Jamal stood slowly. So what now? Some secret club? Hidden training? Spy missions? Daniel let out a breath, almost a smile. No games, no movies. This isn't fantasy. This is real life. And sometimes real life needs people willing to stand between chaos and calm without needing credit for it. Before Jamal could respond, the screen switched again. This time it showed Amina, but not in school. This was older footage. She was younger, maybe 12 or 13, sparring in what looked like a dusty gym. Her movements were fast, precise, far more advanced than what she'd shown in school. Whoever she was training with wore military gear. She's been in longer than you think, Daniel said. She passed the first trial at age 11. Jamal watched, eyes fixed on the screen. So this is some kind of recruitment? In a way, Daniel said. But not everyone makes it. Some walk away. Others are asked to step back. And just a few move forward. Back at school, the air had shifted. Amina had noticed it too. People weren't bullying her anymore. But it wasn't kindness either. It was fear, confusion, a mix of emotions no one wanted to say out loud. Teachers looked at her differently. Some with concern, others with hidden admiration. And then there was Brittany. Brittany hadn't spoken to her since the gym incident. Not a single word. But Amina could feel her watching. From across the cafeteria. In the hallways. Even in the girls' restroom mirror one day, their eyes met briefly, but the silence said everything. Brittany wasn't done. She was regrouping. Monica and Kayla were distant now, unsure whether to stay loyal to Brittany or pull back. It was the first time Amina had seen them unsure of their queen. Cracks in the mirror. Meanwhile, back in the city, Jamal left the building. With a quiet mind but a loud heart. That night, he barely slept. He stared at the ceiling, thinking of the footage, of Amina's steady hands, of the words Daniel said, "You don't get tested unless they see something in you." But he wasn't the only one feeling pressure. Across the city, in a private office with tinted windows, a woman sat at a desk watching the same footage of the bus, the same footage of the gym. She wasn't part of the quiet hand. In fact, she was part of something much different, another organization, one that believed in control, in power, in force. And the names on her list were the same ones Daniel had. Jamal, Amina. She picked up the phone. It started. She said into the receiver, "The girls confirmed, the boys being tested. Do not let them reach phase 2. I repeat, do not let them connect." There was silence on the other end. Then. Understood. Back at school, Amina sat under a tree during free period. She wasn't reading, just thinking. Watching the wind move through the branches, her mind distant. Jamal approached quietly, holding 2 bottles of water. He handed one to her without saying anything. She took it. "You went, didn't you?" Jamal nodded. "I did." She didn't look at him. "Then you know what's coming." He sat beside her. "Not really, but I'm ready." She looked at him then. "You better be. Because they're not the only ones watching." In the distance, from across the street, someone snapped a photo with a silent shudder. The real test hadn't even started yet.